There you go, friends. I don't know if I've mentioned this or not, but my daughter Sunshine and her husband Jason out in Mystic, Connecticut. Gee, they called me the other day and said how they had found a crow that evidently had hurt itself, and they weren't quite sure what. I don't believe they were quite sure what the injuries were, but the crow was friendly, and they were able to. They were going to do what they could to nurse it back to health. It seemed to be limping along, and well, Sunny thought that perhaps Sunny, my daughter, and Jason thought that perhaps it just got itself. Maybe the leg got twisted a little bit, or what have you, or maybe there was a wing problem, and it was just kind of hobbling around. Well, they sadly they did what they could to nurse the crow back to health, but eventually took it to a wildlife preserve and to see the vet there. And the vet looked the crow over and said, "No, this crow's got this bird has a fractured foot, and it's just not going to get better. You can't necessarily tell a crow to just sit still or go to bed and put a little blanket over it or something. It's not. It isn't how it works, and probably everything's been okay with you and your husband near the crow, but if you were to back off, the other birds would, the other crows would or a hawk or something would just kill the bird. It seems to be how it goes. I think back, I think pigeons did that too on occasion. They would, if there was a weak bird in the flock, they would kill it. And evidently that's what happened, as near as I know, with the crow. I believe, actually no, I believe Sonny got it to a wildlife preserve, and they humanely put the bird down as opposed to letting it be torn apart by its fellow birds, which I guess is how it works in the bird world. Sort of a shame, because if you can get a crow fairly young, they actually are pretty cool pets. I guess better to get a minor bird, I suppose, or a parakeet or something, or raise pigeons. Now that I think about it, pigeons did the same thing. They would, if there was an injured pigeon in the flock, they would get after it. Now that I think about it, shame. But hey, at least they tried. It's chalk one for the Gipper there. That's if nothing else, just trying. Ain't too bad a thing to do too. So they did what they could, and it wasn't to be. Shame though. If you can get a crow when they're very young, they maybe had fallen out of the nest and wasn't hurt. From what I understand, they do make rather nice pets. I don't know if you can have them in the house, because they're a wild bird, but evidently you can get them to kind of hang around the house and be kind of your bird. From what I hear, I've never tried it, but it sounds cool to me. Anyway, I'll see you later. God bless. Bye now.